There was once a farmer who had an orchard full of trees, plum trees. One year he had so many plums that he didn't know what to do with them, so he decided to make jam. He gathered them all in, the plums that is, and he piled them up in the kitchen on the kitchen table, and it was a huge pile of plums. And he gathered the family around and he said, "Right, we're going to make plum jam." But the problem was they didn't have a pan big enough in which to put the plums, to cook them, to make the jam. So they had a debate. The farmer turned to his son and said, "Son, you go down to Farmer Giles down the road and you get the pan from him and bring it here." But the son, who was a lazy one, turned around and said, "Oh no, father, there's no way I'm going to do that. You see, it's a good 10 kilometres walk there, and it'll be a good 10 kilometres walk back with that pan on my back. No, that's too much for me." So the farmer turned to his wife and said, "Wife, you go down to Farmer Giles and get the pan." "Oh no," she said, "I couldn't do that. That pan's way too heavy for me, and 10 kilometres to walk there and 10 kilometres to walk back with that great pan on my back. No, that's too much for me. Can't do that, sorry." So he turned to his daughter and said, "Daughter, you go down to Farmer Giles and you get that pan so we can cook some jam." And the daughter looked at him and said, "No." Now the farmer was so angry about this, and he saw this pile of plums on the table, and he thought, if I don't get a pan and don't make some jam, then they're going to go rotten. So he decided to go himself. So down the road he went to Farmer Giles, and he got the jamming pan, and he brought it all the way back, and he put it in the kitchen, and he filled it with plums, and he cooked the plums and made the jam and put the jam into jars. And when it was all done, he got the family in and said, "There you go, see, it's done." And they were all very happy. But there was a problem. That pan had to go back. So he turned to the family and he said, "Now look, I've been and got it, and I've made the jam. Now you're going to take the jam pan back." And they all came up with various reasons as to why they couldn't do that. So the farmer said, "Right, we'll sit down at the table and we'll discuss this." And they sat down at the table to discuss it. And the reasons, they were so ridiculous. The son, he couldn't go down and take the jamming pan back because, he'd hurt his finger earlier on while he was playing his flute. And the daughter, she couldn't go anyway because, she just couldn't do that sort of thing. The discussion went on and on and on, and the longer it went on for, the more obvious it was to the farmer that he was going to end up taking that pan back himself. So he thought of a very clever idea, what you might call a cunning plan. And he said, "Right, whoever speaks first, when I finish speaking and saying this, they will be the one who takes the pan back. Do you understand?" There was silence. Nobody spoke. They all nodded in agreement, and there was silence. And that silence continued for the rest of the day. That evening they ate their supper in silence. When they went to bed, nobody said good night to anybody. When they got up the next morning, nobody said good morning to anybody. They went about their day's work in silence. When they sat down for lunch, it was silent. That evening at supper, no one asked for the salt, no one asked to pass the butter. Nothing. Silence. And this went on for days. But no one was going to give up. Now one evening as they were eating supper, there was a knocking on the door. And the farmer was about to shout out for whoever it was who was knocking at the door to come in, when he remembered that if he spoke, he would have to take the pan back, so he didn't. And nobody did. So there was a knocking on the door again. Still silence. And then again. Still silence. And then again. Now, whoever it was on the other side of the door just decided to come in anyway, and opened the door and came in. And when they got in, all of them sitting at that table could see that it was one of those people who lives on the road and sleeps under hedges and doesn't have a proper wash. He looked quite dirty. And this person who never had a proper wash and looked quite dirty saw all them and said, "Good evening, you all right, you lot?" And nobody said a word, because of course they weren't going to be the first to speak. "Oh, that's a bit odd. You got nothing to say?" No, they didn't. "Well, that's a shame, because I was just asking if there was anything to eat, because I'm a bit hungry. Do you mind if I take a bit of this bread?" Nobody was going to say no to him, so he helped himself to the bread. "Oh, that's rather kind of you. I think I'll take some butter. Do you mind if I take some butter?" Nobody said a word. He took some butter. "Do you mind if I take some jam to put on it?" Nobody said a word, so he took some jam to put on it. "Do you mind if I sit down here and have a glass of your delicious-looking milk?" So he sat down and had a glass of the delicious-looking milk. "Would you be minding if I had a look around your house a little bit?" He opened the cupboards. He opened the drawers. He looked everywhere, and eventually he found in one of the cupboards a little bit of money in a jar. "Oh," he said, "do you mind if I help myself to a bit of your money?" Nobody said a word. He put the money in his pocket and he looked at them all at the table, and he looked at the daughter of the farmer. Oh, you've got nice rosy cheeks. Do you mind if I give you a nice little kiss on those rosy cheeks?" She didn't mind at all, and if she did, she wasn't going to say so. So he gave her a kiss on those rosy cheeks. That was nice. "Well, look at you over there," he said, looking at the wife. "You got nice rosy cheeks and all. Do you mind if I give you a kiss on those nice rosy cheeks?" And he gave her a kiss on those nice rosy cheeks, because she didn't say a word. When he'd done that and wiped his lips, he looked at the farmer. "Oh," he said, "you've got the rosiest cheeks of all. Do you be minding if I give you a big kiss on your rosy cheeks?" The farmer took one look at him and said, all right, I'll take the pan back." And take the pan back he did.